The second anniversary is upon us, and there's so much going on here in Global. It's an exciting time for War of the Visions. The big news, of course, for Global is that we aren't only getting Final Fantasy VI, we are also getting reruns for all of the Final Fantasy collabs, including Final Fantasy I, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VII, 10, 14, and 15 all at once. There's going to be so many banners to look at and directions that you can go, and it might be a little bit overwhelming. So in this video, we're going to go element by element and talk about how you should prioritize everything that will be available going on with both vision cards and units. So you can use this guide whether you're working on your primary element or if you're working on like a second or third element for your account. The last thing is we don't know what the banners and availability will look like for all of these units and vision cards during this anniversary event. So we're just going to prioritize everything, assuming all things being equal. For new players that are coming to the game for the anniversary event, pay attention to the water element section when we get there. There will be plenty of traps to pull on, but I think there will be a little bit of something for every single account. This is going to be a huge video, so everything is timestamped in the description below. If you're interested in discussions around specific elements, you can skip around to them. Please consider liking and subscribing. We would really appreciate it. First though, Amazon Coins is running a promotion for the second anniversary event in War of the Visions. So in addition to that up to 20% savings that you can normally get using the Amazon Appstore, you will also get an additional 5% back on purchases using Amazon Coins. So the way this works basically is that if you buy something in game with Amazon Coins, you'll be credited back with 5% in your Amazon account. And if the big events in the past are any indication, there should be at least a couple of pretty good deals for paid Vizure. And as we're going to get into in this guide, there's a ton of units and vision cards and options to choose from the previous collaborations that you might have missed out on. So please do take advantage of this offer if you find yourself coming up a little bit short on Vizure. If you do happen to play the game on the Amazon App Store, you're going to be able to take advantage of this offer through March 31st. There's instructions on the offer page how to link your account with the Amazon App Store to use these offers. Be sure to use the link in the description below also, as it does help the channel out and it makes Amazon happy. Now on to the guide, and the first element we will talk about is fire, and there's actually not a whole lot going on, even though the anniversary is going to be headlined by Final Fantasy VI and Terra, and that's where we start, is prioritize picking up Terra first. No matter where you're at with your fire element, Terra is going to be a strong all-around contributor with both physical and magic damage, and also tanking physical and magic damage. Is she top tier in any of these categories? Probably not, but she's right there in the next tier for a lot of different roles. She's the no-brainer grab for the fire element. If you're one of the newer players that started out with Satya, as we outlined in our fire account video, and supported her with King Mont or Glacial of Regalia, you're going to be in a very good spot adding Terra to your team. The Omen vision card from Final Fantasy VI, this is going to be specifically for fire accounts and even more specifically for Terra. Make sure that you pick this one up. It will help you so much in the future as well and be a staple in PvP for fire teams for a very, very long time. I would actually prioritize the Death Machine vision card from Final Fantasy I for a lot of players. Death Machine isn't really a specifically valuable as a fire vision card, but it is one of the best general use vision cards in all of War of the Visions. 20 AoE resist is such a powerful defensive buff, and with dual vision cards coming out and this being a general buff and not tied to any specific element, you can pretty much dump this card in any team, any element, and reap the rewards. Now the caveat here is that there are a couple of elements that have gotten AoE resist on other cards like light, lightning, and water, for example, so it is becoming less and less valuable for specific use, but it's still a great card that can cover a lot of elements and your account as a whole. Similarly, the Bringers of Shadow vision card from Final Fantasy XIV is a solid choice for plus 50% attack as a general buff, but Ifrit is another card that does basically the same thing and it's not limited, so this leaves Bringers of Shadow a step below Death Machine in my mind. Moving on, we have Ice, and priority number 1 is Aranea from Final Fantasy XV. She's an extremely strong ice unit that dishes out tons of damage and is fairly sturdy as well. If you grab her and 120 her, you will not regret it. Just trust me on that one. The next priority will be Fryevia, and that's right, remember we will have the rerun for the global exclusives during the anniversary as well. She's simply one of the best magic support tanks in the game, especially if you mainline the ice element. She's such an impressive tool to have in your toolkit for that element for both PvP and PvE. Other units will be Auron, Barret, and Rosa, and these are fine units, and if you mainline ice, you could definitely do a lot worse, but I probably wouldn't go out of my way for any of these three. The reality for Auron is that he's similar enough to a lot of the non-limited units like Laswell, Valric, and Gilgamesh that you don't need to FOMO for him. Barret, well, as cool as he just isn't that effective anymore at any one thing, even after his buff in Global. Rosa, pretty much the same story. She's an awesome healer, but a lot less versatile than Freyevia, and gets majorly outclassed as a support by Bellis. And speaking of Bellis, he is the Ice Crystal Warrior coming up in the next couple of weeks, and should slot in priority somewhere with Aranea and Freyevia. The risk is that he's half pull rate being a Crystal Warrior, but he's clearly a very, very strong unit and should be in your plans if you mainline Ice. For vision cards, the best one is going to be Aranea's card from Final Fantasy 15. Fryevia's card, just leave it. Chaos Odin is too risky and expensive for me to recommend and can be replaced too easily with Fenrir, which is going to be free and readily available in the Mog Shop. For Wind, surprisingly not a lot going on. Tifa is the top of the list, but even she is kind of outclassed now by More the Merrier, Halloween Leela, June, Winter Luartha. I'd say she's pretty much in the build if you're a fan camp, and that's pretty much it. Her vision card is pretty specific to strike attack as well. While single target resistance is nice, you can get that from Odin, and you can get more evasion from Shiva. Consider this a package deal with Tifa, but a pass otherwise. If you mainline Wind, you're probably better off saving up and making sure that you have enough for Sodali and his vision card when they come out in about 3 months, or a surprise rerun for like Leela or More the Merrier. Earth is going to be an interesting element. You will have Noctis and Grizzly Zazan available, and the bottom line is that Noctis is a better general use unit, but Zazan is better specifically in evasion comps and PvP. If you have to choose between the two, personally I think Noctis is the better overall choice. However, if you have evasion tools like a Winter Coat and Secrets of the Heart, Titan, I would go for Zazan. Ideally, you go grab both of them. The Oath of Salvation vision card from Final Fantasy 15 is also invaluable for Earth teams. Personally, if I were to focus on the Earth element during the anniversary event, I would find a way to grab everything you see here. Lightning now, and oh boy, pay attention here, because much like Earth, we have two units that are nearly must-haves for the Lightning element, and that's going to be Cloud and Ibarra. Cloud is one of the best all-purpose physical damage units in all of War of the Visions. He would slightly edge out Ibarra for me because of his ability to work in rainbow comps as well, and not lightning-only comps. Ibarra does slot in slightly below Cloud. Both units do come with their own vision cards, Cloud with Scorpion Sentinel and Ibarra with Wish Upon a Demon. Consider both must-haves for their respective units. Queen will come with the Persona 5 collab coming up right after the anniversary, and she's a much lower priority in my mind. Both Cloud and Ibarra will have a much bigger impact on your account than Queen will. The good news is that she is the free unit from the Persona 5 collab and should require only about 12k to max out, so I'd probably still do that if I played Lightning as a main element, but just know that you really don't have to if you want to save that little bit of Vizor. If you play Lightning, plan to front load all of your Vizor now and then take a couple of months off to relax after the anniversary. And now for Water, which is probably the most exciting element for the anniversary. New players we're going to talk in a minute here. Celeste arrives with Final Fantasy VI, and she's simply one of the best magic tanks War of the Visions has to offer. She also doesn't have a matching vision card, so the cost of entry to get her is going to be even lower. Consider her the top priority. Alstoria is the Water Crystal Warrior, and he arrives in about a month or so, and he could be one of the best overall units in all of War of the Visions, right up there with June and Elena. If I had to choose between these two, I would actually go for Alstoria before Celeste, but let's be real here, you definitely need to pick up both if you mainline Water. Titus will come back as well, and I wouldn't expect him to be free because, you know, Gumi and all, but he's a lower priority. Since his release, there are a lot of units that do great things for Water, like Moore, Swimmy Elsie, Winter Vic, Titus is still a great unit, but you probably are going to have better things to do, and one of those better things is going to be Aerith. Lower priority than Celeste and Astoria, sure, but Aerith is a unit that is making a comeback in a big way, and her support abilities and magic damage behind Celeste and Astoria is tough, and she should be a strong consideration for anyone who plays water. Lastly, we have Suteki Dane, and also in the strongly consider camp, a lot of players have been waiting for this card to come back, and for good reason. Celeste and Astoria will benefit, Titus benefits, Raychez, Farm. This is one of the better element-specific vision cards in the entire game. I do want to mention Lara Croft quickly. There's no indication she will get a rerun here, but if she does, I would honestly put her below Titus. She's a great unit, but she's really not all that versatile. If she does get a rerun, there's much better stuff to prioritize when it comes right down to it, and you'll need that Visuor in about a month for Astoria. Now, the PSA for brand new players here is water is your best, quote, out of the box element to start an account with for the anniversary. You can re-roll until you pick up both Celeste and Aerith, and then pick up Suteki Dane on a guaranteed step up, hopefully. And you have about a month to gather up some Visuor so you can guarantee Astoria upon his release as well. As a new player, you'll have to focus on using some general vision cards for a while, such as Odin, Fenrir, Death Machine, Solidus, Vow of Love, etc., while you farm up your other water cards. Now on to light, and this is probably the most expensive element, and is there any question what you should be prioritizing here? Elena and her vision card will get a rerun, and the consensus choice for the best unit in War of the Visions. It's pretty obvious what you should be going for here. We may even get more Shard for Guild tickets in the anniversary store to help build her up. We're actually also getting a rerun to pick up her lightsabers, though they aren't entirely required to make her a powerhouse, but that is a nice benefit as well. Yuna is next in my priority list, and while you can certainly build light teams without her, she does remain 1 year later one of the best rainbow support units in the game for all accounts. For light specific accounts, she provides so much flexibility for PvE and team swaps for PvP. I think she's a must-have, but you certainly could forego her if you're on the fence about spending the Visuor. I'd also consider Locke a high priority. With Elena's vision card, he can definitely take advantage of the luck and crit damage bonuses. Locke is just one of the best all-around free units we've seen in War of the Visions, and he will be very, very strong for light-focused accounts and a solid unit for basically everybody else. He's probably, actually, no, he's definitely worth the 10k or 12k it will take to max him out to 120. Violet comes with Persona 5, and I'd honestly put her a little bit lower than Locke in priority, if only because you actually have to pay to pull for her. If you're already playing strong light, she's probably not going to be worth it, as you can actually just save up the Visuor and get something else down the line. Warrior of Light is a neat unit, but at this point I probably wouldn't spend Visuor on him. You'll eventually pull Engelbert if you don't have him already, and he does a lot of similar things to Wall. Thancred is last, only here because he's free. Warrior of Light and Violet are definitely better units, I just want to make that clear, but if you have extra materials lying around, Thancred isn't a terrible option, but do not spend Visuor on him. Lastly, we have the 2 vision cards from Final Fantasy XIV, and I would consider Scions of Shadow a must-have. It's arguably one of the best element-specific vision cards in the entire game, not only a baseline buff of 35 light attack, but also dark resistance, making it incredible for PvP. Scions of Twilight is a great card, but definitely a couple steps lower. It's mostly the blanket magic resistance that's good for your light units, but it also provides nice buffs to HP and slash resistance penetration, as well as an agility buff on the actual card. Lastly, we have the Dark element, and there's a lot of great units to choose from here, but we do have to prioritize them in some kind of way. So the top priority would be Golbez and Dwayne. And if you don't have enough Visuor and you have to choose between them, what I would do is look at your account. If you can replace Dwayne with like a 120 King Mont or Joom, something like that, then grab Golbez. If you don't have a viable tank option, then I would grab Dwayne. Kayn is a unit I would consider, but not strongly consider. He requires far too specific builds and gear to really make great, and most players will kinda just find him okay. Similarly, Joker and Prompto fall into this category as well. Again, not bad units, but when prioritizing what's coming up, I mean, let's not get crazy here. Beautiful Blade Leela is where you're going to be saving that Vizor up. She's a must-have for Dark, and you definitely have time to save up for her after the anniversary, as she won't come for a couple of months. I just wanted to make sure to include her here just so players remember to save up for her. Both vision cards, Irresistible Darkness and Demon Wall, are low priorities. Demon Wall probably less so unless you have Kayn. Irresistible Darkness, it's a great card for Dwayne, but if spending for it is going to prevent you from getting Golbez, I think I would rather have Golbez. The Persona 5 Vision card is actually pretty great for Dark. Honestly, I'd rather spend to get this card than for the actual unit of Joker. Presumably Joker will get a global buff with this card, but I'd still say it's a great card to have in general for Dark accounts. Maybe you don't have a specific element you'd like to focus on. Maybe you just want to know overall what are the best units for accounts in general. What are the best units that can help for rainbow comps? I think there's 3 clear winners during the anniversary. The first is Cloud, and this is simply because he's one of the best plug and play damage units in the entire game. He's very easy to use, he doesn't need great gear or vision cards, and he has a fantastic kit. The second is Celeste, again, very plug and play as a tank, can get you through a lot of content tanking on your account and as a rainbow tank for a lot of different PvP teams. And the third is going to be Yuna. Re-raise, healing, high damage magic attacks, auto hits, a TMR that's highly underrated. Yuna can jump in as a support in pretty much any composition for both PvE and PvP. Anyway, guys, that's it, everyone. 8 collabs and global exclusives all wrapped up with one giant pretty bow for you. I would be remiss not to mention that we know we are getting a new global exclusive unit as well, which will throw a major wrench in one of these elements. It seems the community is pretty set on predicting either fire or lightning as the element. Fire is definitely light on things to pull for, but lightning could create a ton of panic and FOMO for both Cloud and Ibarra. A lot of great stuff coming up for War of the Visions. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts on the priorities that I outlined here in this video and what you're looking forward to pulling for during the anniversary. Happy 2 years, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.